Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm speaking with Mike Montrey. Him and his band have just released a fantastic new record called Searching for My Soul, and I am super excited to talk to him all about it. Mike, I want to sincerely thank you for coming on today. How are you? What's going on?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. What's
Just,
news?
we're looking forward to this album coming out and getting playing some shows in support of it, and hopefully, it gets across the way that it came out of us.
I hope so. I mean, it deserves to. Like I
Thanks,
said
man.
before we started recording, I've listened to it a couple times through, and I mean, I love the single that we reviewed for you, a little bit back as like a
Right.
teaser. But no, really listening to this entire record, it's beautiful from start to finish. It feels
Thank
like
you.
I haven't listened to an album that's cohesive and gives you like that album experience in so long, and this
Right.
really delivers on that. So
Thanks, man.
the first thing that I'd really love to hear from you is what is it all about? Is it a series of individual stories or is it one sort of overarching message throughout the record?
Well, I think I brought this up. I was talking to somebody about it, but it's actually a common theme in my own songwriting. Is that like I will write songs. Even this can even happen within one individual song, but in this
Yeah,
case, I think it's even more so in a group of songs. But like you're writing about something, and I don't know that you always have it as specific as you might think. And then when you're done and you reflect on it, there's like this kind of universal thing that comes out of it. And I think it really what it speaks to is that like anytime that you're an artist of any kind, whether you're writing a song or painting a picture or whatever, what you're creating is a product of that period of time in your life. Like no
exactly.
matter what your motivation is, it's still that. You can't take
Yeah.
that part out of it, right? And so even though you might be consciously or subconsciously or whatever formulating, be it the feel of the music or the lyrics, etc., you wind up kind of like afterwards being like, okay, that makes total sense. Like that all kind of ties itself together. So for this particular album, I think it definitely has. To your specific question, I think it is kind of more like smaller stories that then come together to create one narrative of
Sure.
sorts that brings them together, right? So
But it's
they're all
reflecting a
kind of work
period
that
of
way.
your life.
Right. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, so then you have this as almost like a time capsule to look back on in the future, and then you
Sure.
you learn from
Yeah.
it, you grow from it, and hopefully there's more music on the way. You can kind of move forward through the ages with
Yeah.
it.
Of course. Of
Love that.
course. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and obviously, the instrumentation on here is beautiful. I'd love for you to sort of give a shout out to the band who performed on this. They did an amazing job. How did it
Yeah.
look? How did it look putting this all together?
Well, so we had Jen Augustine on vocals, Anthony Duke on bass guitar, Brian Prokop on drums, Jack Stanton on pedal steel guitar, and John Ginty on the organ piano stuff. And we did have some horns on a few songs.
Mm-hmm.
Those that was Hayden Wright and Chris Gold. Now the way that came together, most of those players play in my band usually
Okay.
to begin with. John Ginty was on the record we did a few years back called John Street. He plays and tours with several acts like the Allman Betts band. He's now doing this Allman Brothers like revival thing. He was with
Oh,
Robert
nice.
Randolph, and he's like an epically great Hammond B3 player. Like
Sure, sure.
probably one of the best. And the rest of the band also fantastic musicians. And but they're playing with me even more frequently, like when we play together, and uh, they were the ones that I brought in to make the record, and it was produced by Mark Swirsky, who's who's done a lot of great stuff himself. And I think collectively, he and I kind of had. I let him kind of come up with some ideas more so than I have in the past when I've done this
Hmm.
stuff, um, about production and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think it really got to a place that was new and interesting and gave these songs a lot of life.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like you obviously have an incredible team behind you to make this possible. The production is fantastic. Mark did an incredible job, and it
Yeah.
just it sounds so nice. Like I would urge everyone who listens to listen on a nice pair of headphones because there's so many subtleties, and it just kind of pops. This isn't like a play on your laptop type record.
Yeah, right,
Yeah, I
right.
would urge everyone to not do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Another major standout for me is that it's 7 songs long, but it does a great job of blending together different styles and genres. I know there's no right answer here, but if you sort of had to give like an elevator pitch of how you would describe this record to the person that hadn't listened to you before, what would you call it?
Well, I mean, that's a good point. I've kind of always been that kind of a songwriter, like varied influences and genres. But
Yeah.
my publicist went with Americana, rock and soul, because there is a soul
Yeah.
vibe to it,
Yep.
that is in there, and the Americana stuff with the B3 and the pedal steel is there as well. So I think, and I actually think that's a thing that like you're hearing. I mean, not to get too long winded about it, but the reality is that as like music has evolved, right? And it got to a point where we could listen to whatever we wanted to somewhere in like the 60s and 70s. People started to just get pounded with so many different styles of music, right? And then
Exactly.
all of a sudden, genres just they don't even they almost don't even exist. It's like and you're
Great
just
point.
making music that's brought on by everything. But before that, it was harder because
Yeah.
you couldn't hear everything yet, right?
No,
So,
I'm thrilled that you
um,
say that because I bring that up all the time. I just think like with the future that we're in production, everything can
right,
sound like everything. There isn't
right,
just rock music. There isn't just country music. Everyone is pulling from everyone, and it even comes down to like the marketing angle of you trying to capture an audience of like,
right,
oh, well, if you like a little bit of this, then you're gonna like a little bit of this. But
right,
yeah, no, but on the grand scheme of it, I do think that like Americana rock soul is the perfect way to kind of sum it up for someone that hasn't listened because it does.
sure,
Those are right at the forefront. Obviously, the more you listen, the more you uncover. So you got to listen to
right,
uncover more. That's the main thing.
true,
Yeah.
true.
Now, how long did it take you to put this together from start to finish?
Uh, okay. Yeah, what are we in September?
Yeah.
It wasn't that long. It moved along faster than I thought that it would.
Oh,
Uh, Originally, I met up with Mark. I met Mark when I sang on a duet of the Pogues song "Fairy Tale of New York." It was a remake of it by this woman, Helen O'Shea. She asked me to sing the duet part, and so I went to the studio. And this was, I think, early 2021, maybe, or
okay.
just after like the pandemic's worst period had passed,
Sure.
and he was producing it, and that's where I met him. And
Got
so we
it.
talked that day, and I kept in my mind, I was like, I'm interested in maybe working with this guy. We'll see what's up. And so I think it was like January of this year that I talked to him, and I was like, what can we do? Can we get? Originally, I was just gonna do like max 3 songs, just just to record with him to see how they came out, right?
Sure. Sure.
And so I got my band together, and we kind of rehearsed 3 songs, and uh, and then once we had the studio time booked and everything was getting set up, I was like, man, we might as well like get more than that because once you're there, I don't know how
Right.
familiar you are with the process, but it's like, yeah, it's
Of course.
you get going. So I was like, I got more songs. What about these? And we worked them out, and then we got them. It really, I mean, we only spent, I want to say, like 3 days in studio. to get it
Wow.
all done. A lot of it was done live,
Oh, okay.
in like isolated rooms and stuff, and then we would still overdub some stuff, but like to get that live feel, uh, that's kind of how we tracked it. So, um, in that sense, I guess if you want to go back to when he and I first seriously talked about doing it, maybe that was like January, right? So here we are in September, and there it is. I guess 10 months.
That's a good amount of time. Well, obviously it worked out.
Yep.
And you also mentioned that you've got some shows coming up. I'd love for you to plug what you've got coming up in terms of live shows and what that looks like for you guys.
Yeah. Well, we just came back from Nashville. We did a show at Americana Fest in Nashville,
Oh,
kind of
nice.
preemptively supporting the record release. But this Saturday we're doing Asbury Fest in Asbury Park, New Jersey. That's like
Very
where we're
cool.
actually kind of releasing the album, if you will.
Yeah.
And then Sunday the 25th, we're doing another festival called the Raritan River Fest. That's in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Um, and then after that, we got a bunch of stuff lined up. Some of the dates are still pending. Like we plan to do New York City, Philadelphia, October, November. Um,
Gotcha.
but I'm waiting for those to fully be locked in to promote them
Right. Well,
as such. But
where are
those
you
two will
normally
still be
based
pending.
out of?
We're in New Jersey.
Okay, got it,
Um,
got it.
so these two will be local gigs, and then we'll get out a little further from that
Nice.
afterwards.
Cool. Well, hypothetically speaking, what does the next year of your life look like? Do you foresee more music coming out? Or are you just kind of playing it by ear? Or do you have certain goals in mind?
Well, I think this music will have a pretty long shelf life, even though it's not the way things used to be. Like
It's
meaning,
true.
I put an album out every 3 or 4 years, but uh,
Right.
so I mean,
Exactly.
no, but I'd like to give it like I, I anticipate uh, that come the spring and the summer of next year, that's when it will get particularly busy on the gigging front of
Sure, sure.
more so because this winter months tend to be a little slower,
Yeah.
and I think if we gear up and we get this album out now and we do the stuff we're doing right now, we'll be in a good position to set up for that and kind of really get out there even further with it, and play various, hopefully we usually play a bunch of festivals in the summer and stuff like that, so we'll try and expand that even further.
Nice. Well, as far as future music goes, do you have any idea if there might be any experimentation happening, or are you the type of artist that's always working on the next thing, like unreleased demos or just writing things down?
Well, I always have like a lot of I am always kind of writing songs in one way or another.
Sure. Can't really turn that off.
So yeah, well, yeah, there's a whole back catalog of stuff that just never made its way out to the world.
Sure.
So there's always that. But I would like to, but I also, I think I've learned in my years of doing this that um, you kind of can devalue some of the stuff when you oversaturate
Oh,
the stuff.
completely.
Like, and it's like I mean, I used to listen to a lot of Ryan Adams albums, if you're familiar with Ryan Adams,
Sure.
and but he at one time it was just like I think one year he put out like 4 records, and I was like, dude, I can't keep up with this. I don't have enough. It's not enough time in my life to listen to everything that's happening. And it's
Yeah.
to that end, it's like you got to put yourself. I know it's hard to do
Right.
to be an artist and to be the person seeing it from the other side, but to some extent, it's like, especially nowadays where there's so many things that could take control of your attention in the moment, right? If you're trying to shove like 4 albums at somebody in the span of a year, it's forget it. That's why oftentimes now the recommendation is just put out one song at a time. Like,
Yeah.
and but then that's
But
tricky too, because like you said, you listen to this thing, and even though it's only however many songs it is, it still feels like you're listening to an album, which I kind of
right.
like.
Well,
So I think
it's a
there's an in
matter of being
between.
introduced to it at a certain time. If you,
Right.
for example, if you put out these 7 songs one month after the other, people are living their lives. They're having different experiences with that song when they listen to it. You know what I mean? I think there's
Correct.
something that is. I'm almost positive there was only one song released before the actual album on this one. So for the most part, you're listening to it fresh for the first time. When you release these singles, which listen, that has its time and place in music, and I understand that's the way that the industry is going. My
Right.
personal preference is to listen to something in full for the first time with no expectations, and I can
Right.
form my own opinion. But I understand that for the most part, that's not the way that it is. But I think that it should be. But
I'm with you, man.
I could rant all day about it, but I think oversaturation. No, to your point on oversaturation, I feel that with singles too. Yeah, if you want to put out 4 or 5 albums in a year, go for it. Like I think that they'll
Right.
probably lose quality at some point, but the singles feel the same, where it's like people just put out halfway decent songs to have more content to post about.
Well, yeah, right. That you're totally right about that. That's happening with everything, man, from
Yeah,
Netflix to anything. It's just like they feel like they need to just pump content.
right.
And I mean, I said that to somebody years ago when this all started. I was
For
like,
sure.
eventually, most of this stuff's going to suck because the compromise they're
Yes.
making on quality is
Yeah.
just it's inevitable, you know. And
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, man. But I also feel like it's almost becoming like this. That's becoming like the more niche market perspective of people who really love to listen to music. Like,
Oh, a hundred
you know what
percent.
I'm saying? Like
Because
that's what that's becoming, right?
most people don't pay close attention to enough to realize what's happening because they're either not
Exactly. Right.
involved in it, or it's just like, oh yay, my favorite artist put out a song last month and a song this month and 27 albums last year. It's all up
Right.
to personal preference, but yeah, I know what you're saying. It's
True.
complicated. There's no right answer. So what are you gonna
No, no, there isn't. There never
do? Yeah,
is.
there never is. I have a couple more questions for you, and
Sure.
this is actually kind of similar. I want to know, what are you listening to? Is there anything that you've listened to lately that has really grabbed your attention?
Yeah. I mean, there always is. Uh, and sometimes it's new stuff, sometimes it's old stuff. But I'll be honest with you, the first and oftentimes it doesn't really align at all with the kind of music that I make. But
I think that's for the
the
better.
first one, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm into every. There's very few genres of music that I don't listen to. Like
yeah.
I'm interested in everything. But so first band I'll mention is was actually I was turned on to by my 10-year-old son, and that's a band called Cage the Elephant,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
who's rock band, and I really have been digging their stuff. I mean, I knew a couple of their songs, like from like hearing them in passing and
Yeah,
over
they
the
have some
years,
radio
but
hits and stuff.
yeah, right. Those songs I was familiar with, but then like I started like listening to more of it, and I was like, these guys are pretty good, man. And then I saw them this festival that they have in Asbury Park. We went to. It's called See Here Now, and they played
Hmm.
at it amongst so many other great bands. And the show was great too. So that was cool. I was
Sweet.
it's as it comes full circle. Um, Other stuff that I'm listening to right now, I really like the stuff that Billy Strings is doing
Oh, yeah.
with his
Really coming
his
up.
Americana stuff.
Totally.
Yeah, that stuff is great always. And what else have I been dialing up lately? Um, I liked the new Tedeschi Trucks Band record they put
Oh,
out
they're
too. They
great.
had like the multiple layered thing. Yeah, well,
Hmm.
Derek Trucks is like from another planet.
Totally. If
Guitar
you've
player,
seen that, have you
amazing
seen
musician.
them live before?
Yeah, I've seen them
Oh,
live.
killer show.
He's just a monster player, and I mean, I always liked them anyway, but like they did just put this recent thing out where it was like interactive visual stuff
Mhm.
too, where like on YouTube and stuff. I was checking that out. That's pretty cool.
Nice. Well, based on your recommendations, I don't usually do this, but I would recommend that you check out a band called Goose. Have you heard of them
Oh
before?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
it's That's funny that you like. because I'm a big Fish fan. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for years. Like I've seen him a ton of times. I actually, it's, and I love like I once played in my first band that I formed was more of like a jam prog kind of band, and we were called Water back in the early 2000s.
Nice.
And I've always loved that kind of music, especially when it's done right. Like I think that over time that scene got saturated with a bunch of bands that just wanted to jam forever and like there was no
Absolutely.
like songs happening.
Hmm.
Um, but but and it's funny because Goose was presented to me in various ways say by people, and at first I was just like, is this going to be another one of these bands that, yeah, they're all great players. I'm not taking anything away from
Sure,
any of these
sure.
guys, but will I actually like their songs enough to want to put them back on? That was kind of where
Yep.
I was at, right?
Great point.
And
Yeah,
I did, and then I gave, but then I checked it out, man, and they got some pretty good songs.
I
I
agree.
was digging it. Yeah,
I've had
I
their
was digging it.
album that came out this year called Drip Fields. It's just been
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah,
nonstop. Really enjoy it. If you haven't listened to it
yeah.
in full, I would
Uh,
recommend it to
no,
everyone.
I checked it out. I did,
Yeah,
and it is good. I agree.
awesome.
That's cool.
Nice. Well, Mike, I've got one more question for you. And basically the question is for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that is going to listen to your music for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
Um, wow. That's I guess I would want them to know, and this is true for any music that I've ever made. I would want them to know that like how far, like how deeply like this comes from, where it comes from my soul. It was searching for my soul, the name of the
Right.
album. It's like, but it's true. I mean, like I don't really make music that doesn't come from that place. Like, and throughout my entire career, and I think that there's a value in that people can feel, and that's maybe the difference between the music that has like longevity and
Yeah.
stands the test of time, because again, it's not to necessarily knock anything that happens, but like you get catchy melodies that come and go, and they just never really come back,
Yeah.
right? But they're still good songs
All the
in the
time.
moment, right? But I think that's the thing. Like people, they feel that attachment to where it's coming from, and that's where this is always coming from. So hopefully that's something that they can attach to and kind of feel.
I think that's a great answer and a perfect wrapping up point. Mike, I want to
Right
thank you
on.
so much for taking the time. This has been great. Please let me plug your music for you one more time. The album is called Searching for My Soul. We will have links in the article so that people can listen and share and follow along and do all that fun stuff. But uh, yeah, I sincerely thank you for your time. This has been great. Have an amazing, rest of your day, and some great shows coming up too.
Right on, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Austin.
See you
Take it
later.
easy.
Talk to you soon. Bye bye.